I'm Ben Gonzalez, and this is TDI. Well, with insurance, we're often looking at what happens after a storm, but our guest today says there are several things you can do before the storm that may improve your chances of not having to file a future claim. Joining us is Fred Malik from the Insurance Institute for Business and Home Safety. Hello, Fred.
Hey, Ben. How you doing?
Doing well, sir. Start by telling us a little bit about what the Insurance Institute for Business and Home Safety is. What's the mission there?
Yeah, sure thing. So we are a building science organization. We're a nonprofit trade association as well. We're funded by property insurers and reinsurers. And our express mission from our member companies is to reduce avoidable suffering and financial loss for homeowners and other people that occupy things like business or commercial buildings, that kind of thing.
So just trying to find ways to reduce risk, correct?
Yes, it is looking to reduce risk, but really what we're about is keeping people in their homes, getting them back to normal faster post-event so that they can get back into their normal flow of life. And when we're able to be successful in that space, then everybody wins.
Gotcha. Well, one of the things, of course, that the group encourages is building more resilient, stronger homes. And we've all seen kind of that iconic photo of that one lone house standing after Hurricane Ike. Is that what we're talking about when we describe fortified building?
Well, I mean, we'd love for every house to look like that, right? We'd like to just be looking across the
still
landscape
be there.
and see nothing but houses still standing. So, yeah, I mean, that's obviously the goal is to get every house performing that way. But not every event is the same. Ike was a pretty severe storm and lasted a good long time. Had a lot of storm surge with it. So, not every storm is the same, and there are things that we can do and guidance that homeowners can take advantage of to keep them in their homes, even if it's a lower intensity event. Your viewers may not be aware, but every year the bulk of insurance claims that are related to natural disasters have to do with low-level storms and preventable losses like water intrusion coming through the roof. And then expanding and amplifying the damage. So, we can do a lot to minimize that. Matter of fact, at IBHS, we've done some studies. We can reduce 50% of insurable losses just by getting the roof to be a better performing roof.
Right. That's the cap on everything else, right?
It is the thing that is the most exposed, the most vulnerable, and the easiest to mitigate.
That's a good thing to do. So if somebody is replacing a roof, or maybe you're building a house right now, what should you be asking the contractor along the way of the process?
Yeah, so at IBHS, we've looked at resilience and we've looked at the intensity of storms, what things should be done in what order, and it all starts with the roof. And so if you are re-roofing, whether it's just because of normal maintenance or you've had a claim and you're replacing an existing roof, talking with your roofing contractor, and asking him for things like a sealed roof deck, making sure that they're attaching the roof with ring shank nails, the roof decking, which is the part that the shingles or the metal sit on top of, making sure that gets attached to the trusses of the rafters with ring shank nails. You can double the uplift capacity and strength of your roof simply by using 8D ring shank nails over smooth shank nails. So, and that's a modest investment. That's like less than $50 can accomplish doubling the strength of your roof. Sealing the roof deck, there's a number of techniques that we describe in some of our literature and in the stuff that's available for free at fortifiedhome.org. You can download a re-roofing checklist, and you can learn all about what we require in our Fortified program. But sealing the roof deck is designed to keep wind and water out if the primary roof cover, so your shingles or your metal, your tile fails. There's something there that stays in place to keep the water from getting into the house and leading to bigger and messier damage. And then the next thing is making sure that the roof covering products that you select are designed to resist the conditions that you might face. That becomes particularly important when you're talking about metal or tile. People have a perception that if I spend money on these more expensive roof systems, I'm going to get a better product. There are some inherent benefits to that for sure, but if it's not installed the way it's designed to be installed to resist those severe conditions, then it's no less or no more likely to perform the job than, say, a standard shingle is. So you gotta there's some real details that you want to make sure your roofing contractor is paying attention to. And we lay that all out in our fortified home guidance. Once you have gotten your roof to be more resilient, then you can start focusing on other things like opening protection, for example. There's a phenomenon that's called internal pressurization. This is a little bit technical. I won't go too far into it, but most people don't know that your home or your commercial building are designed to keep all of the pressures and all the things that are acting on it on the exterior of the building. And so when an opening like a door or a window or a garage door, when those things fail, all that pressure rushes inside the house and puts pressure where it's not designed to be. And that's where you get structural failures. That's where you get real problems. And so at our silver level, or at the second level of designation, that level of resilience, protecting openings becomes an important thing, particularly for those that are out on the coast. Inland, inland and stuff, there's a different priority, but out at the coast, that opening protection is important. Inland, your biggest opening that you're paying attention to is your garage door, making sure you get a properly rated garage door. And we have all kinds of information on our website about that as well. And then finally, the thing that most people, talk about and are usually boastful about, that thumping their chest that, hey, I paid for some metal connectors in my house. That's part of something called the continuous load path. That's really important. It makes sure that your whole house can act as a system and stay intact if it's put under significant stress. However, there aren't that many storms that actually put that level of stress on your home. So your money, your initial money that you're spending, is better spent on those first few things: the roof, protecting your openings, making sure you have a good garage door. You get more risk reduction focusing on those things than potentially on the load path. Now, I'm not saying that the load path isn't important. I'm just saying that particularly if you have an existing home, it's really hard to add that if it's not there. But you can do something about those other elements, the roof and the openings, even if you have an existing older home.
Yeah, especially when you're trying to think about retrofitting something that's already there. It's always a lot harder than doing it right from the beginning. And some of the things that you just mentioned, like using the right kind of nails and the right nailing techniques, don't exactly cost a lot of money, at least not as much as replacing a whole roof.
Yeah, for sure. And there's a common phenomenon. I have to say, as somebody who was a home builder prior to joining IBHS, I've been working with IBHS now 11 years. I was a home builder for over 20 years prior to that. And as a consumer of insurance products, I really didn't understand what I had the ability to do to mitigate my own risk. I just sort of said, oh, well, it's fate. And we see that along with that's a pretty common attitude across most people, is that, you know what, there's not a lot I can do about it. I'm just going to take my chances, and that's what I have insurance for. But, the reality is that making good, informed decisions at the right time can dramatically change your experience when it comes to severe weather. So you can take control if you have good information when you're trying to make some of these critical decisions. And that's what we're all about, is just giving people good information. You still make your own choices, but you don't want to look back and say, you know what, I just spent $30,000 replacing my roof, and if I had known if I just spent $50 more on ring shank nails, I could have a significantly stronger roof. That's the kind of news you don't want to get when you've already made that kind of investment.
Yeah, that's amazing that little bit can change everything. Speaking of the roofs, we know, of course, here in Texas, hail is kind of our number one threat that kind of covers the whole state, not just along the coast. And we saw that some of the research you guys have done about impact-resistant shingles, it really was surprising. Can you tell us about what you found?
Yeah. So IBHS has really led the way in the scientific community on this question. So the prevailing wisdom out there right now, the way roofing products in particular are tested for impact resistance, is to either take a solid sphere of ice or a steel ball and drop that from a particular height and then see how it reacts with the surface that it's hitting. I know hail's pretty prevalent in Texas, but I don't think I've ever seen a steel ball fall out of the sky. It's not a terribly realistic scenario. Plus, the way the damage is assessed is really from the underside of the shingle or roofing product. So I don't know too many people that are able to go out, turn their roof over, and say, "Oh yeah, well here's a crack. I need to make sure I get this fixed." So what IBHS did is that we need to know more about the natural processes, how hail forms, what are some of the different characteristics of hail, because solid ice reacts differently to slushy ice when it hits a roof in particular. And so we went out, we devised a way to recreate realistic hail in a laboratory environment. And we took that and we said, okay, now let's see, can we design a better test? A test that's going to be more predictive, that's going to measure things like dents and granule loss and that type of thing. And we were successful at doing that. And so last year, in 2020, IBHS released our impact resistance tests for impact rated shingles. And our belief is that those shingles will perform better. You'll have a better opportunity for choosing a good performing shingle than if you rely on the older versions of testing, which are called class 4. People may be familiar with that term.
So you can't just get the most expensive shingle. It's more about doing a little bit different level of research here.
Yeah, so what we tried to do is we tried to make it easy, right? So we have tested the most popular shingles that are available in the market that claim to be impact resistant. We have tested all of those, and we have graded them in 4 categories, and we have a very visual and easy to follow chart. And essentially, if we rate it as excellent or good, it's a good performing shingle. It's going to resist the bulk of the hail that you might see. Now, does it prevent damage from 8-inch hailstones? No. I mean, just a couple of weeks ago, I think we had the Texas state record hailstone fall.
Yeah.
And that when you have hail like that's hard to really resist. But when we're talking about 1.5 inch, 2 inch and lower hail, that's what we're really talking about mitigating and providing a better performing roofing product. And so, if on our scale, if we rate it excellent or good, it's a shingle that you should expect to perform well. And not all of them are the most expensive. The way that those products fall on that list, it does not go in order of cost.
Now, if somebody isn't technically minded and isn't doing a lot of research, what should they be asking their roofer when they're in the process of doing that?
Yeah, I mean, the simple thing to ask is, do the shingles that you're proposing for my project, do they meet the IBHS impact resistance test? Now, because our test is new, that you actually have a roofer that says, well, I'm not really sure what that is, and you can direct them to our website. It's ibhs.org is our corporate website. There's all kinds of good information there on hail. We also have that on our Fortified website, which is fortifiedhome.org, and that chart is right there. And so they can look at brand name, and they can see very easily whether or not what they work with is a product that will deliver that great impact resistance. So, simplest thing is to ask people if they know about, ask your roofing contractor, do you know about the do you know about the IBHS impact resistance test? And then if they say they're not familiar with it, send them off to our website. They can find the information very easily.
Yes, and that's all a kind of unbiased kind of information. It's actual research that's done and tested, correct? That's
right. Yeah, we painstakingly so. I mean, we spent over 10 years developing the techniques and the testing that's available. So yeah, it is objective in the extreme. We have no dog in the hunt. We don't receive any sort of compensation from the company's products that we test. We're simply looking at what's going to deliver the best results and how can we help people come into contact with those products.
Well, thanks a lot, Fred. Can you tell people again where they need to go if they want to learn more about this?
Yeah, sure. So we have a ton of resources available for people for free at fortifiedhome.org. You can find out about our hurricane guidelines, our high wind guidelines, and our hail guidelines. It's all right there and free to download and share with your roofer. We got good stuff there for you.
All right. Thank you so much for your time today, sir. And if you want to learn more about your insurance options, or if it's time to shop again, you can stop by our website. It's tdi.texas.gov. You can also call our helpline if you have a specific question. That's 800-252-3439. So for Fred Malik, I'm Ben Gonzalez. This is TDI.